What if I told you that more than 80% of reported paranormal encounters in America happen when people are completely alone, often standing in front of a mirror? Have you ever stared into the glass and felt that strange pull, like something on the other side was staring back at you? And what if your reflection didn't just copy your movements, but revealed a future you were never meant to see? Across the United States, from abandoned homes in Detroit to haunted mansions in New Orleans, there are countless stories of mirrors showing things that should not exist. Alternate versions of ourselves, shadows without bodies, and even disasters before they happen. Tonight, I will take you through these chilling tales and real accounts of what people saw when they looked too long into the glass. Stay with me until the very end, because every detail could change the way you look at the mirrors in your own house. If you love and care about true horror stories, please give me a like, a subscribe, and share this video so I have the motivation to bring you even more terrifying stories in the future. At exactly 3 o'clock in the morning, the time many people in America call the Devil's Hour, a college student in Boston claimed something happened that changed the way he looked at mirrors forever. He said he had just woken up, unable to shake the feeling that someone was in the room with him. When he glanced at the mirror on his closet door, what he saw wasn't himself. The reflection showed a thinner, almost sickly version of his body, with dark, hollow eyes glowing faint red, staring back at him. Terrified, he froze. Later, when he checked his security camera facing the bedroom, the footage didn't show anyone else in the room. But strangely, the lens captured flickering light patterns bouncing from the mirror, as if something inside it was moving. Even more unsettling, he found smudged fingerprints on the mirror's glass the next morning, larger than his own hands, with no explanation of how they got there. Personally, I can't help but feel this story is more than just a student's imagination. The combination of physical evidence, camera interference, unusual marks on the glass, and his consistent testimony makes it very hard to dismiss. And if you've ever been awake at that hour, you know how the silence seems heavier, like the world itself is holding its breath. Perhaps the mirror wasn't just reflecting him, but warning him of something he could become if he stayed in that house too long. This is just the beginning, because what happened in that Boston dorm room at 3 in the morning isn't an isolated case. Across America, there are countless abandoned houses with mirrors that tell stories far darker than any we want to believe. And the next one I'll share with you happened in Detroit, inside a house that locals refuse to enter, even in broad daylight. In the United States, there are more than 1.5 million abandoned houses, each with its own broken windows, peeling paint, and sometimes secrets people would rather forget. One of the eeriest cases came from Detroit, where a group of friends decided to explore a decaying home on the city's east side. Inside, they found the bathroom door sealed with rusty chains, and behind it, a mirror covered by a thick, dust-soaked cloth. Against their better judgment, they pulled the cloth away. At first, the reflection showed the group exactly as they were, flashlights in hand, nervous smiles. But then, on camera footage from one of their phones, an extra figure appeared, a tall man standing directly behind them, his face pale and blurred as though the glass itself was distorting his features. the strange part, in the actual room, there was no one else. Even more disturbing, one of the explorers swore that when he leaned closer, his breath fogged the glass from the inside, as if something on the other side was alive. Later, when the mirror was examined, investigators noted faint scratches along the inner backing, like nails dragging desperately to escape. For me, this is the kind of story that lingers. It's not just kids spooking themselves. There was video evidence. There were marks on the mirror no one could explain. And there were consistent testimonies from people who had nothing to gain from lying. It almost feels as if the mirror wasn't abandoned at all. It was locked away, sealed, because someone knew what it was capable of. And if Detroit's forgotten bathroom mirror could hide something like that, what about the mirrors people still live with every day? The next case from New Orleans will make you question whether mirrors can do more than just reflect. Maybe they can predict what's about to happen. In 2007, a fire ripped through an old townhouse in New Orleans. Most of the residents never made it out, but 2 young men survived. And what they told investigators still gives me chills. Hours before the fire broke out, both claimed they saw something strange in a hallway mirror. Flames licking the walls, black smoke rising, and their own faces distorted in panic. At first, they thought it was just a trick of the light, maybe stress or fatigue. But when the fire erupted later that night, in exactly the way they had seen, they realized the mirror hadn't been playing tricks. It had shown them the disaster before it actually happened. The fire department's report even noted something odd. Security cameras positioned down the hall captured a faint glow in the mirror minutes before the blaze, though no light source was in the building at the time. And when investigators inspected the charred remains, they found the mirror's surface strangely intact, barely cracked, while everything else around it was reduced to ash. That detail alone has sparked endless speculation. Was it luck, or was the mirror holding on to something it wanted to show? Personally, I can't shake the feeling that these 2 men were spared for a reason. I've read enough about mirror premonitions to wonder if certain objects don't just reflect reality, they distort time itself, showing us the tragedy that waits just around the corner. Imagine how terrifying it must have been to recognize every detail of what they saw replayed in real life. And if a mirror in New Orleans could warn of fire, then what about the rituals and legends tied to mirrors across America? From Bloody Mary to the dark reflection ritual, there are stories of people who didn't just see the future. They saw something far worse waiting inside the glass. Across America, there are at least 13 mirror rituals that people whisper about in schools, online forums, and late-night sleepovers. The most famous is, of course, Bloody Mary. Stand in front of a dark bathroom mirror, call her name 3 times, and wait. Many dismiss it as a childish dare, yet countless students over the decades have sworn they saw a pale figure staring back, sometimes caught on shaky phone cameras as a blur of movement behind their own reflections. But Bloody Mary is only the beginning. On Reddit and creepypasta forums, people share accounts of the dark reflection ritual, where you light a candle and smash a mirror shard to invite your dark double into the room. Witnesses have described waking up with scratches across their arms or hearing footsteps pacing outside their bedroom door. One case from Ohio even reported biological evidence. small droplets of blood found on a bathroom floor after the ritual, despite no one being injured in the room. And then, there are lesser-known practices, like turning off every light and repeating your biggest fear aloud until your reflection changes, or staring without blinking for exactly 10 minutes until the face in the glass begins to morph. I've spoken with people who said their security cameras caught them moving differently in front of the mirror than in real life, as if the reflection had a mind of its own. Personally, I don't think all these rituals can be brushed off as silly games. The sheer number of consistent testimonies, combined with fragments of evidence like unexplained scratches, strange recordings, or witnesses describing the same distorted faces, makes me wonder if mirrors are more dangerous than we're willing to admit. Maybe these rituals are not ways to summon something new, but to reveal something that's already been there, waiting for us to pay attention. And if urban legends can blur so easily into physical reality, then what does that say about the mirrors in our own homes? In the final part, I'll share a chilling warning from psychological research that might change the way you look at your own reflection forever. Psychologists at the University of Chicago once ran an experiment that still haunts me. Volunteers were asked to sit in a dark room and stare into a mirror for just 10 minutes. Almost every single one of them reported seeing their faces change. Some saw animal-like features, others saw strangers, and a few swore they saw a monstrous version of themselves grinning back. Science calls it the strange face illusion, a trick of the brain when forced to focus too long on a single image. But here's the chilling part. Some participants left the room with scratches on their skin they couldn't explain. There are even stories outside the lab. A woman in Texas claimed her bathroom security camera recorded her standing motionless in front of the mirror, but the reflection smiled and tilted its head when she didn't. Another man in California told police that after nights of insomnia, he stared into his dresser mirror for hours and began hearing whispers calling his name. Whether you believe in the supernatural or not, the evidence is unsettling enough to make you think twice before locking eyes with your reflection in silence. For me, this is the most terrifying idea of all. Maybe we don't need rituals or haunted houses to summon something dark. Maybe all it takes is time. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour. And the mirror will eventually reveal something we weren't meant to see. I don't know about you, but I'll never stare into a mirror at night again without turning the lights on. So here is my final warning. Don't test it. Don't look too long. Because mirrors don't just show what you are. They might show what's waiting for you on the other side. If you've ever had a strange or frightening experience with a mirror, I'd love to hear your story in the comments. And if you enjoy these true horror stories, please give me a like, a subscribe, and share this video so I have the motivation to bring you even more terrifying tales. Stay safe, and remember, the mirror never blinks